I was looking back at the trade deadline moves today and I was like, wait, why don't I regrade the moves that happened at the 2022 trade deadline? So let's go ahead and regrade all the trades from the 2022 MLB trade deadline today. Also, quick shout out, I'm giving away a signed Shohei Ohtani jersey. Link is in the description, partnered up with Auction of Champions. We're giving away a signed Shohei Ohtani jersey. It's unbelievably simple. Link is in the description. The winner will be announced in my video tomorrow for a signed Shohei Ohtani jersey. All right, so let's start off with one that's a little bit confusing to grade. Andrew Benintendi. Now, of course, the trade was fine. Like, we're not going to talk about necessarily if they got screwed or not unless it's prevalent. It's more so about how did this player perform after he came to this team. What does it look like now? Like, was he worth it? And Andrew Benintendi, while this isn't fair, he got hurt and he didn't get to play a lot. Played about like 30 games with the Yankees, and in those 30 games, he was kind of ice cold for a bit. I think Benintendi probably goes in D. Again, not fair. The trade was fine. You gave up nothing, but he really didn't perform. So you know what? I guess because they gave up nothing, we'll just put him in C. It was worth the risk. It's just the risk didn't pay off. For Brandon Drury coming over from the Reds, he was having an all-star year. In San Diego, he played well. He was still good. He wasn't as good as he was in Cincinnati, but that doesn't mean he was a bad move. I'm going to put Brandon Drury in B. I think it was still a good move to make. I still think it made the Padres better, and they gave up Victor Acosta, which was like a young prospect. I don't know. Again, like it's hard to tell with the other side of the trade, but I think the Padres got decent value out of Brandon Drury, so a B. So Brandon Marsh is one of those guys that we're going to be able to see over an extended period of time. He is with the Phillies pretty much until 2028 when he becomes a free agent. They did give up a prospect in Logan O'Hoppe, who is on this list, and I'll talk about him right after I finish Brandon Marsh. I think it's probably a B. Brandon Marsh, at the absolute worst, is going to play good center field defense for the Phillies for the next 5-6 years. And that's something they've been desperately missing. They don't have a good center fielder. They were playing Odubel Herrera. Brandon Marsh is a really good defensive center fielder, and there is a world where he's at least league average hitting-wise. We saw it a little bit with the Phillies last year. I think this was a pretty solid move. Let's talk about O'Hoppe now. Scroll down and talk about him. He is a good catching prospect, but he's not one of the elite catching prospects, and catching prospects are iffy. Now, I think the Angels got a good one. Like, I think this is a B for the Angels too. Both of the teams mutually benefited. O'Hoppe is going to be the Angels catcher. He looks good. Brandon Marsh didn't seem like he was going to succeed in Los Angeles with the Angels. He wasn't really what they needed. I think this was a mutually beneficial trade. For Carlos Santana, this was a move that didn't really move the needle at all, and he was about league average. I'll put Carlos Santana in C. I think he's like a good locker room guy, good veteran presence for a team that needed some veteran presence, especially with the lack of playoff experience, but the move didn't really end up doing anything. Christian Vasquez, good vibes. Looked really good in that Christian Javier start, if you remember. Like, he was framing everything, but he actually really didn't play very well with Houston. Kind of played poorly, and one of the prospects they gave up is good. Now, I'm not weighing how much they give up really too much in this, but it is important, and I think it's a D, especially it was a one-year deal. He wasn't the reason why they won the World Series, but it also feels weird because they did. Astros don't even care about the catcher position, really. They've been playing Martín Maldonado forever, and they're like, good vibes, good defense, it's all that matters, and that's kind of Christian Vasquez. Dan Vogelbach for the Mets. This one, I think it depends what Met fans you're talking to. You talk to some of the older Mets fans, they hate him. He's a heavy man, he doesn't hit for any average, and he strikes out a bit. But you're talking to the smart baseball fans, I think, and you go, Dan Vogelbach was solid. He's hot and cold, just like every other hitter in baseball, and he did have his ups and downs, but I think the fact that the Mets have control over him, he's free, he's so cheap, and he's a good left-handed power bat for a team that desperately needs some help from the DH spot. I think Vogelbach probably goes in the B as well. Like, I expected more, but I don't think it was a bad move by any means. Speaking of moves that probably were not very good, Darren Ruff. Darren Ruff was not a good move. Looking back on it, the trade was crazy, the trade was nuts. You traded JD Davis, who was a younger, cheaper version of Darren Ruff, along with prospects for Darren Ruff. This one makes absolutely no sense. I hate to do it, but Darren Ruff has to go an F. I really am holding out hope that he's going to be better, but based on what we have seen, it is an F. He was terrible with the Mets. And I feel like it gets compounded even more because JD Davis played really, really well with the Giants. I wasn't upset that we traded JD Davis. I just wish we didn't get an older, worse version of him, if that makes any sense, along with giving up prospects. I think for the Giants, like low-key, maybe this is going to sound crazy, but I think this is like an A move. You traded an aging outfield first base type DH player for a younger, better version of him and 3 pitching prospects. That's like a really, really good trade. So I think I'm just going to put JD Davis in A. It's going to drive us Mets fans crazy. I think David Peralta was underwhelming. I'm going to put David Peralta in D. He just didn't really do much with the Rays. He hit no home runs, and I feel like they brought him in for a little bit of power, and he didn't really have it. So yeah, David Peralta I think is going to go in D. David Robertson was a good pickup. I'm not going to overreact and pretend like he is the pickup that made the Phillies amazing. It was more important to their team to get another stable arm in the bullpen, so I feel like his impact was around the A tier, but I think based on his actual performance, like he pitched worse. He pitched worse in Philly than he did with the Cubs. I guess he's probably still A, probably, right? Like, I really want to put him B. Probably is A, because, I mean, he was pretty solid with them. And it was one of the things that they needed. They needed bullpen help, and David Robertson definitely was that. I, for the life of me, can't even slightly wrap my head around this move. Eric Hosmer being traded to the Red Sox, paying him all this money. He's horrible. He's terrible. I don't understand. Until he learns to hit the ball in the air, he's not going to be very good. You're paying him so much money, and he's just not good. He's not worth it. I don't know. Eric Hosmer was F, I think. Maybe that's me overreacting. Maybe he's D, but you didn't have to take him, Boston. You didn't. I know they got some prospects, but it's just not making any sense to me, this move. Especially for Chaim Bloom, who's supposed to be smart. Why are you paying a first baseman who stinks so much? Frankie Montas, the trade so far has looked horrible. He was horrendously bad with the Yankees. But I don't think this is a bad trade. Like, I still probably put Frankie Montas in B, which sounds crazy because you still have control over him this year. I know he has some injury stuff, but he's too good. He's too good to be as bad as he was in this weird 9-game stretch where he had like a 6.3 ERA and couldn't get anybody out. And yeah, they gave up Ken Waldichuk, who I think is going to be good. I like Frankie Montas. I do. So I'm going to put him in B. I don't really care how he performed. I feel like this is going to be one we hopefully look back and say he was good. But also, I don't hope that because I hate the Yankees and I hope they suck. But I like Frankie Montas. I want him to succeed. He's a good pitcher. This was still a good move by the Yankees. Doesn't matter how he performed last year. Still a good move. Speaking of good moves, I think this Harrison Bader one's going to end up being like, wow, what a great move, because the Yankees just got a cheap, controllable center fielder for trading Jordan Montgomery, who we'll talk about him too, I guess. Jordan Montgomery, it was, again, mutually beneficial for both teams. Harrison Bader filled the void that the Yankees needed. A good center fielder with good defense. Did he hit a lot? No. Did he rake in the postseason? Yes. You take those in the middle, you still have a plus defensive player with a okay bat, league average at worst, probably. And that's what the Yankees needed in this lineup. I don't know. Harrison Bader feels like it's going to be really good. Like, you see the center field market, it's expensive. It's hard to find these guys, and they got one with Harrison Bader for a guy that wasn't going to pitch in the playoffs for them in Jordan Montgomery. And that's not because Jordan Montgomery isn't good. I think Jordan Montgomery is good. I'm happy. I can root for him now. He's a Gamecock, and he's out of the Bronx, so I love Jordan Montgomery again. He's exactly what the Cardinals needed. I'm going to put the Cardinals, honestly, in A, I think, for Jordan Montgomery. He gave them 11 starts, had a 3.1 ERA, had a whip at 1.08. Like, this is a guy who's going to be in your rotation. Next year, he's going to give you close to 200 innings-ish, and he's going to be very, very good, especially in that ballpark with the defense. Good trade for both teams. I think that's what it's going to end up looking like. Nobody got fleeced here. Jake Odorizzi, I think, probably goes in F. He just kind of stunk with the Braves. He wasn't very good. He had, like, one good start. It was against the Pirates. Otherwise, he was shaky. Jake Odorizzi just stunk last year. Let's call it what it is. When he went to the Braves, he was not what they wanted. I'm going to put him in F. Shout out to the Yankees for making this trade, getting something for Joey Gallo and Clayton Beeter, who looks like he's going to be a really nice pitching prospect. And for the Dodgers, I mean, he just wasn't that good. They didn't really risk a lot. Again, it's a prospect pitcher that's going to, like, pan out maybe next year or the following year. But I probably just put him in D. It was worth a chance. It was worth the risk, but Joey Gallo still was not very good. This one hurts because Jorge Lopez stunk. But like Frankie Montas, like some of these other guys, you do have control over him, and you have control over him for the next 2 seasons. And I think Jorge Lopez is going to be good. I don't know what happens when people go to Minnesota in the trade deadline and they stink, but that's what happened last year. That being said, I still think he's good. I think he'll be all right. I'm going to put Jorge Lopez in B. And again, what they gave up is not anything we're going to stress out over. Like, it was kind of free. Jose Quintana's like so fake good, but he was good for the Cardinals in the 12 games that he appeared for them. 2 flat ERA, basically, a whip just around 1.1, and a FIP at 2.6. Like, he ended up being a really good trade for them. I'll put Jose Quintana in A tier. Like, I think the Cardinals made 2 really good trades. One of the reasons why you saw them make that late push last year and win the National League Central. They made moves. Their team got better. They did it again with the soft-tossing lefty. But yeah, like, I don't think Jose Quintana is an A tier player, but I think it was an A tier trade from the trade deadline. Like, that trade gets an A grade for me. It was good. Josh Bell was weird. He was not good with the Padres. Now, he did kill the Mets. We know that. But he wasn't good with the Padres. And it's weird because, of course, he comes over in the Juan Soto trade, and that trade was awesome for the Padres. But Josh Bell as a whole, I think I'll put him in C, maybe D. He just wasn't very good with them. So this Hader trade is an S, and here's why. I know we had some ups and downs, but Josh Hader is still disgusting. We saw him figure it out towards the end of the year. He allowed 1 earned run in the month of September. That's absolutely disgusting. He basically had 3 bad appearances. One where he gave up 6 runs against the Royals, one where he gave up 3 runs against the Nats, didn't record out, and one where he gave up 3 runs against the Giants. But if you look at everything else around it, it was pretty much the same lights out Josh Hader, and after they stopped messing around with his arm slot and everything like that, like you saw in the month of September, he was lights out again. Bob Melvin should have used him in the postseason. He should have faced Bryce Harper, not Robert Suarez. But the fact that you have control over him next year as well, and you gave up nothing, this is S tier, 100%. I'll stand on it. I'll die on this hill. This is one of the best trades of the deadline. Along with Juan Soto. I mean, Juan Soto had like a down year, right? But he still finished with an OPS plus at 149. Unbelievably good with the Padres. It took him a little bit longer. The average was lower than you like, but he was still getting on base almost 40% of the time. Still had an OPS hovering right around 800 with the Padres. And that was getting kind of thrown into a weird situation. Yeah, and you have control over him until what, 2025? Like, It's S tier. It's S tier. Along with the other best trade that's definitely going in S tier, Luis Castillo going to the Mariners from the Reds. Now, the Mariners gave up a lot. Noelvi Marte, Edwin Arroyo are legit real prospects. But Luis Castillo is legit one of the best pitchers in baseball. Not only was he straight cash money with them the second half of the season, leading them to a postseason berth, he signed an extension with them. That's going to look really, really cheap because it is. Because Luis Castillo's getting like $22 million a year for the next 5. And at age 30, it seems like he's just starting to figure it out, really, really settle into what I'm going to call his prime. Unbelievably great trade by the Mariners, 100% S tier. Michael Fulmer's a little bit of the who cares. He probably goes in D tier because he was worse than he was in Detroit. He wasn't as good as the Twins needed him to be, and they played horribly in the second half. So yeah, D tier. Now, you're going to take this as me hating Noah Syndergaard, but Noah Syndergaard, like, he did nothing. He did nothing. He was not good with the Phillies. He wasn't good this year. He pitched. That's the thing that he did. And the fact that he just pitched and existed was fine. I mean, a 4 ERA with the Phillies in like 10 starts or 10 appearances, whatever. He doesn't strike out anybody anymore, but he also doesn't walk guys and he limits hard contact relatively. I mean, he doesn't give up home runs. He was probably fine. He was C. I mean, he wasn't good, but he wasn't bad. Raisel Iglesias was so good. So good. I'm putting this trade in S. They traded Logan Davidson and Jesse Chavez to the Angels for Raisel Iglesias. Jesse Chavez then got DFA'd and went back to the Braves, made an impact with them. And Raisel Iglesias in 26 innings with the Braves gave up 1 earned run. He was so unbelievably good. I know the contract is the reason he was free because he does have money owed to him the next few years, but I don't care. Who cares? And he was lights out. He's been one of the best closers in baseball. He fills in for Kenley now, who's probably out of Atlanta. S tier trade. Now, this is probably one of the more random trades I have included on here, but Scott Efros going from the Cubs to the Yankees. Yankees gave up some stuff, but Scott Efros is going to be a really good reliever for them in the future. He's obviously hurt right now, but we're going to put him in B because I think Scott Efros is going to be a really solid pickup that you look back and go, remember when we traded him and he was kind of an afterthought, but he's really good. Again, in what was one of the most confusing trade deadlines ever, the Boston Red Sox acquiring Tommy Pham for some reason. Still don't know why. He was bad, and he's just bad vibes. I'm going to put Tommy Pham in F because it was just like, what? Why? I love Trey Mancini, but he was bad with the Astros. I expected him to be a whole lot better, like significantly better. Felt like he was made to play at Minute Maid. He didn't make much of an impact. I'll put it D because they won the World Series and he made that one huge play and had an impact moment. I'll put it in S because we love Trey Mancini, but realistically, Trey Mancini was a shell of the player that the Astros thought they were getting, and he wasn't very good with them. But we love Trey Mancini, so this is the only slander I'll ever say on him. I already know the Trey Mancini one's gonna be the one that gets like clipped. People are gonna take screenshots of him and be like, Trey Mancini, do you remember the play? I really thought Tyler Mahle was gonna be good, and the injury definitely didn't help, only making 4 starts. You do have control of him next year, so I'll give him the Frankie Montas treatment. I'm going to put him in C just because I think a little bit calmer on the Tyler Mahle train than I once was. But I still think at the absolute worst, when healthy, Tyler Mahle is going to be pretty good for this Twins team. Oh, Tyler Naquin. Tyler Naquin. I really had high hopes for you. I thought you were going to do a lot more. You had some good memories with us, good moments, but he was probably an F. There was nothing there. He really just didn't do anything, which pains me because he's a nice guy. And if I'm going to put like Tommy Pham and Hosmer and stuff, I think Naquin's probably an F too. Whit Merrifield. This one's fun. This one's really fun because he played great with Toronto. You have control over him. He's cheap. He's a Gamecock, so I'm biased. There's a way for me to get biased every time. And the Blue Jays gave up nothing. The only reason this doesn't go in S tier is because I think Whit Merrifield probably in between is just going to end up being like a nice league average player that can go in a bunch of different positions. So I don't think he's in that same tier as these other guys that I have in S, but he's definitely A. He's definitely an A tier trade. It was a great move by the Blue Jays. He was awesome for them, continued to hit. Seemed like getting in a winning environment like rejuvenized him a little bit. Got him back to where he was. He was playing good. Love Whit Merrifield. Great pickup by the Blue Jays. A trade. So these are my new grades for the trades at the 2022 trade deadline. I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What are you thinking? Remember, there is a Shohei Ohtani signed jersey giveaway. I got the jersey right here. Link is in the description. Auction of Champions giveaway page. Just sign up there. You'll be entered. I will be announcing the winner in tomorrow's video. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, as well as subscribe so you don't miss out on the content. Follow me on all my social media at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links in description. That's where I'm wrapping up the video. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video. Bye. Go enter the giveaway.